Hello.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for taking some time to join. How's your morning going?
It's cold.
Where are you at?
Maryland.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been outside, so it is a little unseasonably cool this week so far.
Yeah.
Here seems like the last, I hardly know. Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to meet me. I'm growing pretty quick and looking for good developers and architects and things to add to the team. So happy to get the time to talk with you. But if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and what brings you to the interview.
Yeah, I'm a Salesforce developer. Have about almost 5 years of experience. Started out at CareFirst, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay.
Was there for 2 years. I don't have a coding background. I'm self-taught, and I started learning Salesforce, getting myself really acquainted at accounting at CareFirst. Yeah, I was there on the consulting engagement, not consulting engagement, but like I was right after I finished my MBA, and I was on the leadership development program, and one of my assignments was to help the sales team sell more. And I saw that they use Salesforce, but they really didn't like Salesforce, and I was like, what is this thing? How are they supposed to use it? And as I got to know more and tried to teach them, show them how it actually helps them so increase their productivity, I got intrigued myself, and so I decided to make a career change, and so I've been here for 5 years. After CareFirst, I went to Accenture for 2 years, not 2 years, year and a half, and then at accounting year and a half.
Okay. What was it when you were back at CareFirst and you said that they weren't big on Salesforce, that they were using it but not happy with it? What was causing the dissatisfaction?
Yeah, so CareFirst was one of the early adopters of CareFirst was one of the early adopters of Salesforce, probably 2005. It's so they're very smart to adopt Salesforce, but they were not so smart for teaching. They had one onboarding session, maybe two onboarding sessions when people join, and that's it. And so the people need to maintain, keep them engaged. And the other problem was that the management, the sales manager, the VP of sales, they didn't really understand Salesforce. They didn't run their business off of Salesforce. So it was pushed down from the CTO down, I think, and the company adopted it. But the people who were actually supposed to use it didn't really understand why. They were using Excel or their folders, those yellow folders, and they would just create those fake activities so that when management runs reports, they can see, they have some meetings, or they log some calls, but for them it was a nuance.
And how do you pronounce your name again?
Yeah, in full it's Seyitbek, but in short it's Seyit.
And what was your role in developing that?
Yeah, so I do three things here. Right now, probably 20% of my time is spent providing customer support, so tier 3 issues. So I talk to architects or developers or whoever from the customer side who's facing some development problems with like integration or some automation. And then the other 80% is split probably evenly between fixing bugs and making improvements to our app. I want to grow. I want to grow fast. I want to work on interesting projects, diverse projects, and also I think I've been in this Columbia area for 3 years now. I would like to move closer to DC area. I'd like to have some change.
So you've got one product, you said it's like QuickBooks or so on Salesforce. Have you been in a situation where you've worked for a customer, like maybe at Accenture, where you had multiple app development projects going on? It wasn't just like smaller things where you get a business need, the type of things that sometimes come in and people are weighing, I could use SharePoint for this, or I could do ServiceNow, and I've got like a 3-4 month thing, and knock it out. You run a Scrum team to deliver a product. Do you have any experience in this sorts of situations, or it's been more of the traditional CRM piece, or like a bigger long-term, accounting product like you had here at Accounting Seed?
Yeah, so the example you gave was where like, can you explain the scenario again? There was something about ServiceNow, you evaluate ServiceNow and then,
Well, no, it's not really that. It's so I mean, I guess the question is like, we, rather than having one larger app, like at least in government, the government clients that I support, one larger app where you've got a continuous development effort, and then to call support in tier 3 and tier 2 and all that stuff. Our development efforts in general are more like 3-month to like 12-month efforts. We deliver a product, we go through a period of like hypercare where we get them started on the O&M piece, address any feedback they have, get them trained up, and then as part of our app factory, then we move on to the next app, and we turn that product over to the O&M support staff that the government has. So in terms which has the benefit of it, you're constantly working on different business requirements, different development challenges.
That's it. I get it now. When I was at Accenture, it was like that.
Okay.
My first project was 1 month long. It was with waste management.
Okay.
And it was a very nice, compact project.
Right.
My second project was for an internal Accenture team, where we did proof of concept on the newest Salesforce technology, like Live Message, Einstein Bot, and then we would showcase it to the rest of Accenture so that they can go out and sell it to whoever the end customer is. So these would be like 2-3 week projects, 1 month, 2 month projects. So
cool.
Not end-to-end implementation, like for 12 months.
Cool. So if you were to join Deloitte, like, what does your like ideal project look like, and then what would your role in that project look like?
Ideal project. One of the challenges I have at Accounting Seed is that it's a very mature product, and we have some things that have been built up over many years. So if I haven't seen stuff grow from scratch. So for me to make some changes in some code or some like in Lightning Web Components is very difficult because so much has been put in there, and for me trying to figure out Lightning Web Components, I just have a couple of months of experience, it's very difficult. So I think if it's a project where it's a greenfield project where I can see something being created from scratch and grow, I think it's a tremendous learning opportunity. And I can implement it and also grow with it. Otherwise, right now, like the documentation I study online and try to figure out is so complex. So easy compared to the complexity of what we have. It's hard for me to relate things and figure things out on my own. And so, as for my role, I enjoy being a developer because I tackle tasks every day, and I enjoy the challenge, and I would like to tackle tasks where I do new things. For example, with Apex I'm pretty comfortable with, but Lightning Components it's very different than what I'm used to. I need to get used to this logic. I need to get used to testing, creating the test classes for the Lightning Web Components, the JavaScript test classes, etc. So I just would like to be challenged, do interesting things, so that my knowledge of Salesforce goes deeper and wider.
So do you see yourself like down the road? Do you want to go down the path of being like the architect on a team, or you want to be like where you're doing more? I mean, it sounds like short term you want to be like hands-on, doing coding, cranking out stories and all that. Do you have like
yes,
what's aspirations to stay like that, to stay like the heads down developer? Do you see yourself in a couple of years going towards the architects who's doing the bigger solutioning and helping direct and orchestrate the developers? And where do you envision yourself going?
yeah, that's my goal. exactly, to become a Salesforce certified technical architect,
Okay.
And it's an aspiration for me, and I hope to get it within 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, we have on our team, we've got a CTA, and it's, those guys are pretty hard to come by and usually pretty sharp, so it's a good goal to have. Working on getting our second one, but we've got
Awesome.
one on the development team so far. Cool. Let's see. What would you say in terms of your development skills? What's your like strength and weakness? I think it sounds like you said you're pretty strong in Apex and not as strong in Lightning Web Components yet. Any other thoughts on that? Anything you want to add or amends to that?
That's pretty much it. You got it.
What about experience with like development methodologies? Are you it sounds like at Accounting Seed it's more, how are you managing the bugs and enhancements and stuff? Are you using like Scrum, Jira? What's okay.
We our QA team logs the bugs in Jira. Our business analyst writes news stories in Jira. So I pick the topics in the sprint and tackle them.
Okay, running like 2-week sprints and that sort of thing.
Daily stand-ups.
Yeah, cool. And then on the kind of in terms of your, are you guys using any kind of code repos? Like, what are you using in any kind of
GitLab?
GitHub.
Okay.
And for the actual GitHub for the code repositories, what about for the actual builds into the environments? Are you using, because I know like GitLab has runners and stuff. Is GitHub the same way? Or are you using Jenkins or something else? Jenkins?
Yeah.
And what about, do you have any particular, like, what's your approach to like, I guess it's one app. So do you have any thoughts on like the types of, or your approach to branching of your code, and how you do that to manage features and things?
Yeah, each Jira ticket gets a branch, and once I'm done, I make a pull request, and we have several releases a year. Just like Salesforce has 3, we also have 3 releases a year, and we give it a name, and then we code off of that release branch. And so I become pretty comfortable, I think, with GitHub. It was pretty challenging for me initially because we didn't use GitHub at CareFirst or Accenture. We use SFDX, ScratchOrgs, so GitHub makes it's very convenient for that.
Cool. And the ScratchOrgs, like you use that for like each story you work on, you've got a ScratchOrg, and then blow it away at that point to the next story.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. And do you have any experience in like multi-org environments, or you've got more than one Salesforce org that you're working with?
Like multiple ScratchOrgs, it's kind of like multi-org.
No, like so for example, our client has multi-org licensing, so they've got like their main global org, and then they've got an employee org where all their HRM apps go, and then they've got a like tooling org, which is where like the single sign-on and things like that live in like the ticketing system, and they've got a constituent org which they use for like external facing things to the U.S. public. So they've got a multi-org thing. And
I see what you mean. I haven't had experience with that recently. When I was at CareFirst, they had multiple orgs, like the different businesses had multiple orgs, but they were not connected, and I was only working in one of the orgs.
Okay, understood.
Cool. All right, let me see. Well, what time do we have? How are we doing? Got 10 more minutes. So what kind of questions can I answer for you in terms of the?
Or potential roles for you, anything that might come up.
Yeah, can you tell me please, how did the crisis affect your projects? I know you mostly focused on or exclusively focused on government projects.
Mm-hmm.
They keep going as if nothing happened. I'm just curious how this affects.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's client specific. So yeah, on our commercial side, I think it was a much more difficult thing to happen. But on the government side, I think for the most part, given that this is development and development kind of lends itself pretty well to remote work anyway, with all the tools that we have, we're all kind of naturally IT literate and know how to use things like Microsoft Teams or Slack, and we've got our Jira boards and things to all coordinate. We've been, honestly for me, I think the projects at CBP, my client, I think if anything, our productivity's gone up because we've got less of people just like, hanging out in the coffee room and stuff, and people are always in front of their computers, and we've got more tools at our disposal to help us. We're on Zoom calls, all day long. So I think it's been good, and for me, it was an adjustment to not be commuting in and be able to telework every day, and that was good. But it was an adjustment to get the team all familiar with the tools and that stuff. But the client's been super supportive. We also were super busy as this stuff hit because Customs and Border Protection, they've got people at all the ports of entry. They've got people at the airports and stuff. So obviously there was a lot of opportunities for exposure to COVID-19 virus early on. So they were very concerned with tracking who had been exposed, who had tested positive, all those sorts of things, so that they could manage that, keep track of how long they need to be quarantined and when they could return to work and those sorts of things. So we helped them build an app for that. So we built an app that's basically like an incident tracker where the staff person who's exposed or the border patrol officer, whoever it is, can go in and say, I was exposed at home or I was exposed at work and I am self-quarantining or I have a mandated quarantine or I've tested positive, and then it tracks it through a case life cycle. And we also have another way of supervisors come in and report multiple ones of their employees. So that was real high visibility with the government's agency CIO and commissioner and stuff. So we were real busy for the first few weeks, which helped us kind of all, it just helped us transition into things. We had something that was so important going on, and kept us really busy and got us acclimated quickly, I think, to the remote work environment. Gave us a little bit of a purpose, which was good. But I mean, other clients that require you to be in person, for example, in the intel sector, where they really have everybody working in secure facilities and things like that for security reasons. Those ones have been impacted a little bit more because they don't allow their people to telework. So for as long as stuff happens, they're pretty much on ice. So luckily we've had so much work on other clients that didn't have those restrictions. We've been able to absorb those people and add them to our team, just kind of surge support to get extra stuff done on the clients that can continue to work. But I think for overall within the government space at Deloitte, we've been rocking and rolling, keeping moving, and it hasn't been bad for us at all.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
And final question, can you please tell me, what are the typical working hours for Salesforce developers? Is it 9 to 5, or is it 9 to 7, or is it project specific or season specific or deployment specific? Just curious about.
It depends on the client. I think, generally for it depends a little bit on what your career track is Deloitte. If you want to be strictly client delivery development, or if you want to expand a little bit and get involved with business development activities and things like that. But if we restrict it to just what you do for the client, then it's usually, for the most part, a 9 to 5 job. But that's kind of got seasonalities and relationships to deployments. If, for example, this whole thing we had with the hot app that we had to get out the door, we had basically 3 days that we had to get the app delivered. from when we first got the requirement from the CIO to the time we had to be in production. So there was a lot of long hours, to be frank, for those three or 4 days, and really over the course of the first couple of weeks of the social distancing thing. But I think on average, I think 9 to 5 is what it normally is, and usually our core hours are like 9 to 3, where we want to have everybody online and plugged in, and have their status indicators green and stuff, so we can all talk. And then some people start a little earlier, some people start a little later. But that's what we try and do, so we have everybody on and able to communicate and keep that connectivity going.
Cool.
But and then if you're on a track where you want to be involved with more of those consulting, other firm activities and stuff, then there's usually a couple extra hours a week of helping out with a technical response on a proposal, or helping, like you were saying at Accenture, where you're trying out Einstein bot and other things like that, or that are not client specific, but you want to use them at different clients and sell them. Those are often can be above and beyond a few hours, but we try and keep it to a reasonable amount so that you have some work-life balance and don't get burned out.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, if you have any other questions for me, feel free to reach out. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can email me.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, man.
Bye-bye.